Gary Goose Ledbetter, the question goes to you. SROs are directing traffic instead of in the schools. Can you change this?
There's currently a program in Putnam County that's been going on for years, and basically they leave their school resource officers in their schools. They have volunteers that come out to each of their schools each morning, and they wear their reflective vest, and they have the proper hardware and things like that. And they come out and they actually direct traffic in Putnam County to all their schools where the school resource officers are not tied up doing that task. Obviously, that's a pretty big undertaking. You would have to have 6 individuals in the morning, 6 individuals in the afternoon. So you'd have to have quite a few people to do that. And while I've been going all over this county campaigning, there is a tremendous amount of former law enforcement officers in Fentress County that have moved here. And they have offered their services any means necessary. So that might be a good starting spot that we could actually do that. But that is one way that I can think of we could possibly get that taken care of.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. That'll be for Rodney Insko. Are you willing to protect the citizens of Fentress County against the federal government should the need arise, i.e. gun confiscations, and would you enforce a mask mandate?
No.
Thank you. And Gary Goose Ledbetter, are you willing to protect the citizens of Fentress County against the federal government should the need arise, for example, gun confiscation, and would you enforce a mask mandate?
Obviously, I protect your rights to have your guns because we live in the deep South. We talked about this before. If you don't have a gun, you should have a gun. So everybody knows that each candidate up here, I don't think this is a big thing of contention. We will all protect your rights for gun control and all your other rights for that matter. And obviously, I would not support any mask mandate or any of those other silly things that just doesn't make any sense for our citizens, because the way they do things in Washington and New York and California, I guess to put it countrified, they just don't work down here. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And then this will be for Rodney Insko. In your opinion, what should be done to protect our children in public schools?
Source off action.
Good working knowledge. He's not going to go. Good working knowledge.
Your opinion, what should be done to protect our children in public schools?
Well, like everyone said, we have a school resource officer in every school. That's great. I'm glad the county commission did that because it was well needed. But we can do more. You have to go to in-service every year. You have to do your 40 hours in-service. Obviously, we need to be doing a lot more than that. We need to be doing more training with all our officers. And to expound a little bit on what Max said, it's great to go walk through the schools and everything like that, but you should have training in the schools. Every deputy should have required training in each school in case something severe did happen, such as an active shooter. While I've been on the campaign trail, I was approached and the guy said, you don't even need a school resource officer because school shootings don't happen in Tennessee. Well, unfortunately, we're ranked 10th in the nation. We're tied with Georgia for 10th in the nation since 1972 with the most school shootings in America, which puts us in the top 20% of school shootings in America. So they do happen in Tennessee. We are very fortunate ones not happen here, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't be ready for it. So we have got to train for that eventual situation, and that's the only way we can be prepared.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. The next question is to Rodney Insko. And how will you protect female inmates in jail or transport during
Correct
female?
email address if in the law.
Transport with your females.
Okay, thank you. And Gary Goose Ledbetter, how will you protect female inmates in jail or during transport?
Well, the sheriff's office currently has 24 slots for correctional officers. They currently have 15 working. So obviously the first thing you have to do is get a full staff, which can be accomplished. With good leadership and a good place to work, you can get a full staff there. You need to have a good mixture of males and females. It's quite simple. You send a female on a transport, you send a female to transporter. And as the sheriff did say, you know, obviously you would never have a male correctional officer searching a female inmate, stripping them down, things like that, that you have to do when they come in jail. And speaking of jail, it's an $11 million jail. They've got cameras all over the place up there. There's probably a few hidden spots, but for the most part, there are cameras all over the jail if they're operational. You've got a person that sits in this control room and he sees all the cameras in the jail, and he also can lock and unlock any door that he wants to inside that jail at any time. So get you a good staff, train your staff, and then if your staff does make a mistake, you have to correct that mistake, and you have to make sure that it doesn't happen in the future. And it could happen that you could very easily take care of the female inmates. I'm not saying it'd be a perfect world. I'm not saying there might be mistakes, but if there is mistakes, you have to correct them, and you got to take care of it, and you got to make sure they don't happen over and over again. Thank you.
Thank you. The next,
And if you treat them right and you take care of them, then they will stay with you. Thank you.
thank you. And Gary Goose Ledbetter, is staffing where it should be? If not, how would you correct this?
Well, obviously, we already talked about the staffing issues at the sheriff's office, and I already spoke, and I would invite you tonight to Google it when you get home and look at the top 10 reasons people quit their job. It's not about money, folks. People do not quit their jobs for money in large part. They do not do that. I currently have several folks, good, honest law enforcement officers right now, trained law enforcement officers that have committed to come and work for me if I get sheriff, because they're excited about working for a good sheriff. They're excited to come home. They're excited of the things that we can actually accomplish here. And I currently work at Overton County right now. We have a full staff down there. We have a very good sheriff down there. We have a full staff, folks. It can be done. Thank you.
That is to Rodney Insko. What is your position on pursuing Tennessee law enforcement accreditation through CALEA?
I'm not really familiar with it. I'm not familiar with what you're talking about.
Okay. Accreditation, I believe, of the sheriff's department is what they're talking about. I don't know if that question was asked here, if anybody cares to add to it, but. Okay. Mike Reagan, do you have any comment on it?
I don't have a clue what you're talking
It
about.
says, what is your position on pursuing Tennessee law enforcement accreditation? Max,
Down with them and finding out what steps you have to take to get this accreditation, and then continue those steps to actually keep it. It is a good tool. It's federally recognized, and it could bring a lot of resources back into the department that would really help the citizens.
okay. And Gary Goose Ledbetter, what is your position on pursuing Tennessee law enforcement accreditation or accreditation through CALEA?
It's obviously a great idea, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you a lie. It would be a very big undertaking in Fentress County to get that accomplished. There's so many hoops you have to go through. Your standards have to be so much higher, and you have to continually keep it updated and everything like that. It's a very big undertaking. Cookeville City Police has it, but as far as I know, I think they're about the only one around this area that does have it. Of course, they have a lot more resources than we have in Fentress County. I'm not saying that it can't be done, but I'll be honest with you, it would be a very huge undertaking for Fentress County to ever meet that standard. It was obviously something I could look at, and once you get your full staff and get up and running, you could actually check into that. And obviously you can get more grants, and a lot of things can come to your department if you can get accredited. But it'd be a tall task here in Fentress County. Not to say that it couldn't be done, but it would be a tall task. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, gentlemen, the next question, Rodney Insko. Recently, some concerned citizens started the Fentress County Prevention Coalition, which is dedicated to working on the prevention of substance abuse in the county. What role do you see for the Sheriff's Department in this prevention program?
Oh, it's helping. You have got to.
And with Bill, I think the
Concerned citizens,
sheriff's department should try their best to meet whatever needs they can possibly help them with.
all right, thank you. Gary Goose Ledbetter, recently some concerned citizens started the Fentress County Prevention Coalition, which which is dedicated to working on the prevention of substance abuse in the county. What role do you see for the Sheriff's Department in this prevention program?
Well, I'm actually a member of the Fentress County Prevention Coalition. I got in on the ground floor when it first began. I've been to every meeting except one since then. And actually what I found out was part of the thing I was talking about a few minutes ago about my eyes being open. It's one of the best things and the best groups I've ever been involved in, and I'm so glad that I did it. We've already been discussing these problems, and we've already been discussing solutions about how we can get this done if I'm elected sheriff. Like I said, Brother Billy Webb called me just this week. He was so excited about a new program that they're trying to start right now, where they have mental health professionals and himself and other folks. They have got so many trained people over there, and they've got so many people they can call at a moment's notice. They can get to these people on the ground floor when they come into jail and maybe affect them when they actually do want help. Because I'm a realist, I know we're not going to save them if they don't want help, but we have got to save the ones that we can save. And I've been in those from the ground floor. Fentress County Prevention Coalition is basically hand in hand with Manor House. They all work together. I've been with them since day one. Well, I'm sorry, second meeting. I didn't know about the first meeting, but I've been with them since the second meeting last fall, and it's been up and running now about 10 months. So we've already been discussing some of these things and some of the ways that we can have answers to some of the problems we have in our community. Thank you.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. The next question, Rodney Insko. If elected, what is on the top of your list?
And your
Keep their training. I mean, you can never on every shift. One more on each, some better equipment.
Gary Goose Ledbetter, if elected, what is on the top of your list to improve the department, and how would you do it?
Well, the obvious answer is you have to start with your command staff. You have to start with your chief deputy. You have to start with, if you have majors or sergeants or however you structure your sheriff's office, you have to have a good command staff that can carry out the wishes of the sheriff. Obviously, the sheriff can work all day, all night, but he's got to have someone underneath him that knows what they're doing. I have several individuals that have already committed, well-trained individuals that have already committed to be my command staff. So that part is taken care of. Then obviously we talked about staffing issues. That's going to go a long way in getting me up to my goal of where I want to be for a full staff. The zone thing, I talked about it months ago, but you have budget limitations to that. And if you had checked your budget, you would know that even at full staff right now, the sheriff's office would not have 4 deputies on each shift. The best they could do at full staff would be 3 deputies on each shift. So you would have to break your county up into 3 zones. So, which would still be a lot better than we have now because they are so understaffed. So you have to start with your command structure. You got to hire good people. You got to train them. You got to keep them. And then you can do some damage out here. Then you can start the programs after that you want to implement. Then you can start your extra patrol. Then you can see your cars in your neighborhoods. And you can get some things accomplished that you want to get accomplished if you get off on the right foot. Thank you.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Then in your role as sheriff, do you see any scenario in the future when you would bolster staffing using reserve deputies in a paid capacity for patrol staffing or special events?
Well, obviously, the reserve officers do not get paid. That's how the program works. They do not currently get paid. They do have to go through the same amount of training yearly that the regular officers have to go through, so they would be required to do that. If we did start a program where they would get paid, we would have to go in front of the county commission to get funding for that. I would not be opposed to that at all, obviously, because we do have a treasure trove in Fentress County of retired former law enforcement officers. And the ones I've talked to that live here locally all their life and the ones that I've talked to moved in here, they all seem to have a clear head. They all seem to be here for the right reason. And they all seem to really want to help their community out. So obviously, that's a resource we can tap into. I will tap into it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.